A huge Japanese video game development and publishing company has just announced that they are going to focus a lot more on console and PC gaming and less on mobile gaming. And while I do think this is big for them, I actually think it kind of speaks on a sort of broader trend within the video game industry. I think it's very important, especially when you look at this separation between like mobile games and more traditional games that would fall under obviously PC or console categories. So this all has to do with a video game company that's very big in Japan called Koei Tecmo. Now, they have been around for decades, but in sort of Square Enix type fashion, they joined together to form one company in 2009. And speaking of Square Enix, they have done work on the Final Fantasy series, but as far as their own identity, they are responsible for a lot of different game series. They're behind games like Dead or Alive, Dynasty Warriors, Ninja Gaiden. More recently, they would probably be most known for last year's game called Wolong Fallen Dynasty. That was a pretty big game when it came out. They also do have the Dynasty Warriors games. They are coming out with Dynasty Warriors Origins next year. And so they just had a recent Q&A with their shareholders, basically at the end of the first half of their fiscal year. Obviously, since it's shareholders and not necessarily fans and gamers, a lot of the questions had a lot to do with, where are you focusing the company now? And the answers were extremely interesting. Now, there have been some articles written on this. I got the actual document of the Q&A and I translated it through Google Translate, and there doesn't seem to be much that was lost in translation. I think it is actually very clear that, as I said, Koei Tecmo wants to focus much more on console and PC gaming and presumably less on mobile. Now, they said they want to focus a lot more on AAA type games. I believe they actually have their own AAA studio now, and they are actually planning on growing their studio as a whole from 2,500 to 5,000. So doubling in size. But this is what I thought was the most interesting. So when they were asked, what are your prospects for the coming year? They responded, quote, "We expect the console/PC market to grow." And it seems that a lot of this has to do with new hardware that should be coming out soon. I assume they're more focused there on the console aspect of things, but maybe both. And then they also started talking about the mobile market. So according to them, the mobile gaming market has already matured. They said, quote, "We believe that the mobile market is mature in Japan and China, and that high growth is unlikely to be seen." Now, I was kind of curious what they meant exactly by matured. Like, what do you mean the market for mobile games has matured? And I think that actually the answer to that is in another statement they said right along with this. They strongly feel that mobile gamers are actually moving more now toward console and PC gaming. Now, I don't know if this is exactly backed up with statistics. I'm sure it is, and I don't really know exactly why this would be. Maybe people are like growing up. 10-year-olds back in 2014 who were playing like Angry Birds and Candy Crush. I mean, now they have grown up and they don't want to play games like that. They want to play more advanced games. But I've also heard that this has a lot to do with the availability of hardware. Simply put, the average person has a smartphone, but the average person does not necessarily have a gaming PC or maybe even a console. And that's kind of a barrier of entry toward console and PC gaming. So maybe when they are saying that the market has matured out of mobile gaming, that's maybe what they mean. More people have gaming PCs or at least consoles. And so, Koei Tecmo is focused now a lot more on these PC and console games and less on mobile games, it would seem. And it's very interesting because, like I said, I think this actually speaks on the broader scale, like the gaming industry as a whole, and not just for this one company. As they said, this trend has been happening in Japan and China, and they also said that about Korea as well. I could see trends like this happening as we go forward, not just in Asian countries, but also in Europe and North America. And if you don't believe me, just look at, the Q&A actually that I'm talking about. Koei Tecmo actually also highlighted that they want to expand their market as far as the people that are playing their games to other countries as well. They said, quote, "We would like to take on new challenges in markets with room for development, such as Southeast Asia, India, Europe, and the United States." Obviously, the developers and publishers have money, on their mind. That's at the forefront of like their goals. So I think that a lot of these companies now in Japan, but also in China and Korea, focusing more on console and PC gaming, I think that very likely tells us that things might actually be trending now in the direction of maybe less popularity for mobile games and more for these traditional PC keyboard keyboard and mouse or console and controller type games. I think that this is a good thing. Obviously, it depends on the person, but yeah, for me personally, I don't like mobile games. I love more traditional games like this, so I see this as a very good thing.